Good evening, everybody.
Hello.
Good evening.
We are back. It's about a month since the Big County Birdwatch, but Steve, Matt and myself are back. We're members of the Essex Birdwatching Society in the UK, and we're here to do a bit of a catch-up and report back from the Big County Birdwatch tonight. If you're watching this on YouTube, and even more so if you have found us live, because we haven't told anybody, and you've done well. But otherwise, we will be anticipating you'll be watching it on catch-up. But it's good to be here. We're actually recording on the 6th of November, so if you hear any fireworks in the background, forgive that. Yeah, let's talk about the Big County Birdwatch. A little bit different this year, wasn't it, guys?
Yeah, it was.
Yeah. I think the weather was a pretty major factor. It kind of rained continuously for 4 days, which wasn't bad for birding, but I think we didn't get as many people going out because of the weather, and obviously because of the COVID situation as well. But then the quality of what we had was still really, really good, I thought.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, kind of it was a great few days. I just was able to do a couple of solid days and then bits and bobs, but some great birds around. What was your favourite day out of the 4?
Yeah, for me, the Sunday, for 2 reasons. Basically, because it rained all day and my waterproofs really earned their, stripes. But yeah, for me, song thrushes just dropping out the sky.
Yeah.
In the rain showers was pretty memorable. It was up to sort of 60 or 70 at the nays. So that's sort of my main highlight. How about you guys?
I think go on, Matt.
I was going to say, I think for me it was probably the Friday, the Canvey Sea Watch, because again the weather was atrocious and you could hardly see across the other side of the river at times. But we saw some fantastic birds. Razorbill, Sabine's Gull, grey phalarope, skewers going past. Just a really, really good day, and I got a few lifers. Well, 3 lifers I think on the day as well, which was good.
That's got to be a red letter day when you get 3. Well, 1 lifer for me is a red letter day. 3.
Yeah, no, really pleased.
In Essex as well.
Yeah.
Remarkable. Yeah. Good. Yeah. For me, it was the Monday. I think I'd kind of given up on totals, and I was on 99, and I'd set that target for myself to try and see if I could see 100, and mainly based around my local patch in East Tilbury. And I went out, one of the young birders who was also part of the weekend had told me there was a song thrush kicking around the paddocks down at East Tilbury. I actually found a mizzle thrush. But at the same time, after finding that, we had a barn owl flying distantly through the fields. So that left me on, I think it was 102, my total. So I was through the 100, but it was, just really nice after the rain. It was really hard going on those days. Storm Alex. And by comparison to the previous year, where we'd had glorious sunshine, we were just birding in t-shirts and shorts.
Absolutely.
In so many ways, the 2 weekends couldn't have been more different. Oh. And in that regard, really, the plan was to do a bit of a comparison between the 2 weekends, but you have to kind of build all those factors in, and not more so than COVID. So really, we had about half the number of people able to be involved and out and about from that factor. And also a lot of people actually watched the gardens. Almost a third of our people that participated seem to have been watching gardens, which is great. And we really appreciate you being, as much involved. We know obviously there's a bit of a bird race that's become a little bit of a tradition now, and I'm sure that'll be, going forward. But it's records from everywhere, eh? Kind of.
Yeah, I mean, don't forget last year, of course, there were a lot of walks as well that were organised at various reserves around the county. I know you guys both led walks last year, and How many people did we have at Fingeringham and Aberton, Steve? It was kind of 60, 70 people, wasn't it? It was a lot of people.
I think one walk had sort of 45 people on. Yeah, It was fantastic last year, and obviously we hope to repeat that this year, but obviously with the situation we couldn't. So
yeah,
we did the best we could, and I say the weather was against us this year, which was a real shame.
Yeah. Yeah. So
still good fun though. Still good fun.
I was absolutely enjoyed it. Yeah.
It makes the waterproofs work extra hard, doesn't it? So yeah.
And what is good is even this year it just gives us a real kind of impetus in our records, because the Essex Birdwatching Society is about recording birds. We've been doing that for 70 years now, and so we can see the kind of trends and declines, and that's important information, particularly currently, as the government and local government kind of think about planning regulations and habitat loss and all those kinds of things. It's so important that we have data and accurate records for particular areas to know what's going on and to be able to bring a lead, to some of those decisions. So we actually had 2,529 records from the Big County Birdwatch this year, which is just such a peak. And so well done everybody. As I say, a third were probably gardens, and so that's great and good to know, because there's as much development going on in residential areas as there is out kind of in the countryside. In fact, actually more likely. And then 32 people actually entered data. That probably, I know from my own wife was involved. There were others that kind of went out and didn't, were involved, and a good mix of ages as well. And from the names on the list, a third of them are girls or ladies. So it's, that's encouraging, because we want the hobby to, I know there's 3 guys of us tonight, but it's not just a man orientated hobby. Maybe in the past it had that image, but, it's open to all, and, a great vehicle for younger people to come in and learn about nature too.
Yeah.
So we had 60 sites that were recorded over the weekend, which is fair going.
Good
for the 32. The most popular, Aberton, and then Hanningfield, which are the 2 big reservoirs in the county, and then Holland Haven.
Yeah.
4 people recording from there. There was a couple of areas that we didn't seem to get as many records from this year. Don't know, shouldn't blame Mike Rimmel, but Mike's a good guy, really. But up we missed Mike. I think he was in Shetland actually, but up in the M11 corridor, and also the Greater London area, where we had more activity last year, because our county boundaries, these historic boundaries, so they actually go all the way into the edge of London, to the River Lee on our western boundary. And all the way kind of, it's easier to see the Thames, and then the Thames estuary / North Sea up to the Stour in the north. But yeah, so for anybody who's watching and you're in that area, the M11 corridor, or even Greater London, and you may kind of submit your records elsewhere, maybe to kind of a local club or something like that. Please, don't forget, we'd love to know what's happening in your area. And you're still very much a part of the Essex Birdwatching Society in those areas. So get in touch, let us know what's happening there. Species totals, total different species. We had 163 different species that were found or seen or recorded. Down a little bit on last year. We reckon probably about half a dozen different, but some interesting differences. You've got some data on that, haven't you, Matt?
Yeah, I mean, basically we've done a quick summary, and there was about a 55 species swing between the 2 years. So I think it was around about 24 species that we saw this year that we didn't see last year, and just over 30 species that we saw last year that we didn't see this year. And it's just really interesting the difference that 2 weeks can make. So for example, last year there were more terns reported. We had an Arctic tern last year, little tern last year. We had turtle dove last year. There were still some turtle doves hanging around.
Nice.
Little ring plovers. So those summer visitors to our country were still lingering towards the end of September last year. But just 2 weeks on this year, they've all gone. They weren't seen this year. But instead, we've had fieldfare coming this year. So the first of the winter thrushes were coming through. Goose anger started to arrive, and obviously they stay with us through the winter on reservoirs. We had the autumn's first purple sandpipers reported for the county, and short-eared owls. I mean, I think there were really good numbers of short-eared owls. I've got a little bit more data on that later on, but really nice to see them coming through. So yeah, it's just interesting. There was a clear movement from the summer birds had moved on, and the winter birds were starting to come through. And there's only that 2 week difference in the timescale, so it's quite interesting.
Yeah, and I guess the weather played again quite a key factor in that as well, didn't it? Kind of, a couple of weeks earlier we did have some really nice, kind of sunshine and stuff like that. But then suddenly there was that switch, wasn't there, towards the end of October, and then the storms started barreling in, and kind of made quite a transition. It's quite a sudden autumn, I felt, this year, kind of over in our area. So what also was slightly different, again, kind of one of the top 3 species that surprised us last year was common buzzard. And, which, 15 years ago, I would have thought you'd have rarely seen them in the county, certainly 20 years ago. Yep. Maybe odds. But, for them to be so prolific last year, but that kind of also was favoured by the weather. They were up and soaring by 10 o'clock in the morning and on thermals.
Not this year.
But less so this year. I never saw them for 2 days. even looking at my local patch where there were resident birds, they were well hunkered down, but out of the wind and the rain. But magpie was the first most common recorded bird, followed by blue tip, and then wood pigeon and robin were joint third, which again shows that garden emphasis, local type recording this year. But all good stuff. Now, the important stuff, bird race. There were some really good numbers. And the top 3, Ben Rumsby did really well, 122. Well done, Ben.
Yeah, well done, Ben.
And then Matt, 125. Great score, Matt. What did you get last year? Do you remember?
I think it's about 117 last year, so I did a little bit better.
Okay, so you up that. Good. And then Steve, phenomenal effort. 131 species and the new king of the Big County Birdwatch, Steve Grimwade there. And I hope the kind of year ahead treats you as well as it has me this last year.
Thank you.
As the crown moves
right. It was
to
just
the other Steve.
Yeah, I mean, it wasn't about seeing who could win really, but just a little bit of friendly competition's always good.
Yeah.
And nice to see Ben Rumsby on 122. What sort of young bird up and coming. He's one to watch next year, I think.
Yeah, well, every one of those totals beat last year's. I had 121 last year, and I kind of totted everything up. And so
I'm just looking. We had, I think there was also Terry Mulby finished on 115 as well. So I think a good mention for Terry. So I think anyone that's put in the effort and the hours to see over 100 birds in the week within the weekend, deserves a mention. But there were other people. I mean, Mick Woodruff was 74. He saw Mo Jackson 72. Chris Balchin over at Colne Point, 69 species for Colne Point.
Fantastic. Yeah, that was one site, wasn't it?
Yeah.
And in those weather conditions, that's a phenomenal effort. Well done.
Definitely.
Yeah. Because last year we had the Big County Birdwatch and celebrated the 70 years and had that target of 70. I think anybody getting anywhere near around there over that weekend, did really, really well. But well done for everybody. Thanks for getting involved. And what would be really interesting, I think, from what Matt said with this transition of species, and actually there were, as I say, 163 species out there to be got. So Steve's new record there is definitely attainable. So let's see what people, do maybe next year. You know, it's yeah. Again, and it just shows the blessing that we have in the county for the number of birds. We're blessed with that number to actually go and see.
Yeah.
You know, in the various habitats, and yeah, excellent, good. You also had some data on different species, Matt, didn't you? That was seen by individual people. There was quite a few. I know Ben Rumsby, I think, was the only one to record a bullfinch.
Yeah, basically what I've done, I've just had a quick look. Of the 163 species, I think there were 18 species that were only seen by one person. And I think the interesting thing with that is it just proves that, you know, it's really important to go out and look.
Yeah.
Because I can go out and look somewhere tomorrow and I might see something that nobody's seen for, you know, ages. You might get the first county record of something. You might get the red flanked bluetail. You know, there could be one knocking around the corner. But if you don't actually make the effort to go out and have a look.
Someone look.
Yeah, have a look. So, yeah, I mean, Ben Rumsby, he saw blackneck grebe, spoonbill, little gull, Caspian gull and bullfinch at various locations, and nobody saw any of them. Chris Belchin at Colne Point had black redstart and ring ouzel. Nice. Dave Smith in Wetmead Nature Reserve, he had red kite. So no one else saw red kite that weekend. Yeah. Liz Huxley had scorp and red-breasted merganser off Frinton. Martin Gavakol had hobby and white throat in the Fingering Hoe area. Mo Jackson had a barnacle goose between Wivenhoe and Alresford on her farm. There was tawny owl. Patty Gibb had tawny owl in Chelmsford. Again, that was the only tawny owl that was seen the weekend. May have been heard, obviously we don't know. We had an anonymous sighting of a pied flycatcher in Wivenhoe, which is nice. Yep. A couple of dodgy ones, a whimbrel and a willow warbler. Some chap called Steve Squinney claimed he saw them. I'm not sure about those.
Don't trust him at all. Sure.
And I think I was the only person to see fieldfare. I had a little flock of 12 fieldfare flew over Ardley Reservoir calling, you know, making a little chop call. So it just shows that, yeah, if people get out and about, they'll find things that you might not expect to find, or that no one else has found. So it's good.
Yeah, great work, great work in the field for those that found those species. Well done. Yeah. So we weren't able to really kind of develop the event kind of with more walks and, you know, even any walks and organised kind of group events this year. But we have managed to break new ground here on Facebook and YouTube and with the video and social media. And so we're hoping that we've, you know, at least kind of engaged, you know, some of you, you know, as we'd have loved to have done actually out in the field. We've hopefully kind of managed to engage you virtually, inspire you, inform you, and we want to potentially do more of this and help you as well, and you know, kind of interact with people. That's what this is all about. So please kind of, you know, send us feedback about how you found things, how you found the Big County Birdwatch, anything else that's kind of interested you that you'd like to know more of, whether you'd like more of this kind of style programs and things like that. We're kind of, you know, we just set out to experiment and do what we can, yeah, kind of, if it's worked for you, then please let us know. So we better tell people where they can let us know, haven't we? Kind of, have you got the social media, Steve? Or?
So yeah, so we have a Twitter page, which is at Essex Bird News, full of updates on what's around the county from various bird watchers and photographs, which is really good. We have a Facebook page, which is at EBWS Info. Again, similar sort of thing, posts on birding within the county. Was obviously our website, which is ebws.org.uk. And obviously we've got a YouTube channel now, which is search for the Essex Birdwatching Society on YouTube, and you'll find us on there. So lots of ways to contact us.
Okay, thanks, Steve. And we've got some pictures as well that we're going to show shortly. That basically kind of summarise some of the birds and things that were found over the weekend. Some of the names that we've given tonight of those that were actually out there actually contributed some of these. So Let's get on with these.
Just bear with me just a few seconds. My mouse is gone funny. So yeah, we were lucky to get lots of photographs from the bird watchers. So I put a little selection together. So as you can see here, we've got Barn Owl by Ben Rumsby. So the weather wasn't so bad for the owls. Was it, only a few records, but Ben managed to get this shot of Barn Owl down at Bowers Marsh.
Great shot.
And also, not content with one owl, he saw another. So again, at Bowers Marsh, this lovely short-eared owl.
Beautiful.
So nice, so the weather wasn't great, so owls were a bit thin on the ground, but Ben did well to get those 2 shots. And also lovely kestrel there. Ben was at Bowers Marsh.
That's nice.
Then we've got Matt Trevelyan, went to Hanningfield for his part of the Big County Birdwatch and got this amazing shot of a grey heron.
Great light.
Yeah, absolutely stunning. Look at that beady old yellow eye there. Fantastic. And while he was there,
it's got a ruff.
Nice ruff with a teal there.
Yeah.
Nice ruff. And the same ruff again with a couple of common snipe.
Snipe.
Yeah. Really nice shot that is. Really, I love the way the left-hand bird's got his neck extended.
Yeah, craning the neck.
Yeah. Really,
and to see them out in the open as well, that's not usual.
Absolutely, and to be fair, that mud looks bone dry, so wouldn't fancy trying to feed in that, but obviously the snipe like it. And also a great blackback gull.
Cracker.
I think there was one of a few that were recorded at Hanningfield that day. So that was from Matt. And then David Smith from He headed down to Wetmead Nature Reserve, which is a small reserve on the edge of Whittam. Really fabulous place to see things like kingfisher and woodpeckers and other birds. But Chetty's warbler is quite a scarce bird for Wetmead. And David managed to get this shot in full as it's calling, which is pretty stunning. You can even see its tongue there. It's amazing. And there it is again.
I'm a bit jealous. I haven't managed to get a picture of Chetty's yet. So yeah,
me neither. Nothing like that.
Yeah. To be fair, they're bad enough to see. Never mind get a photograph on. So top marks to David for getting those shots.
Fantastic.
And they're sharp, which for David's pretty good.
Yeah.
Sorry, mate.
I was going to say that sharp. It's very good to get them that sharp when they're in reed bed like that. Just
yeah. And then David also managed to get this cracker as well.
I like that.
This jay carrying an acorn. Autumn's fabulous time to see jays out and about collecting acorns.
That's the picture of British autumn, isn't it?
Oh, isn't it wonderful? And he's just caught that perfectly. Really, really, really good. And then we head up to the northeast to the Naze. This is a firecrest that Matt and I saw, and Sean Nixon managed to get a photograph of, which was great. This is when it was raining very heavily, so high ISO shot there. But fabulous firecrest. Yeah. And also this brambling.
Lovely.
So I think this was taking in the John Weston Reserve. There was a small group of bramblings in there sheltering from the rain. So well done for Sean for getting those shots. And then I sort of squeezed one bone in there. This is grey phalarope at Canvey. That a few, myself, Matt, Terry, and a few of the South End birders saw.
Very good.
Which was really nice. Nice to catch it in flight there.
That was one of my lifers. Yeah.
Yeah, fabulous. Not close views, but pretty good. And then this is a shot of a Caspian gull. Now, this actual bird wasn't seen during the weekend, but Ben Rumsby recorded Caspian Raynham. So we just put this shot in that Matt took just to give you an idea what a Caspian gull looks like.
So Steve, let me come in there. I was looking at something like 20,000 gulls last night on the Thames. If anybody's followed my Twitter feed, you can see a video of 2 minutes of what was a 6-minute video I took on my phone after the sun had gone down of the gull roost down at East Tilbury. And I'm thinking there must be a Caspian gull out among that many, but I find it very difficult, not impossible, to pick them out. So what should we be looking at for Caspian gull as opposed to herring gull, or yellow leg gull's a little bit more obvious? But
I mean, just basically, I mean, it's longer legged than herring gull. It's got this lovely, I mean, the adult here has got this lovely black beady eye.
Yeah.
And very long build and a sloping sort of forehead. And Matt's captured it brilliantly there. It's got this almost like it's wearing a nappy. Got like a baggy undercarriage.
Oh, yeah.
Makes at all sense. But, you know, they're becoming more common in the county. So, and also it's well worth checking your local rubbish tips, if there's any, if you've still got any, or reservoirs. I think there was one at Abberton week or so ago, which is a rare bird for Abberton. So well worth looking out for. So what else do we have? And then how can we forget Matt? I don't know, where was this taken, Matt?
That was actually taken at Abberton on the Breton Causeway. And yeah, I kind of snapped a picture of the kingfisher, and just as I was snapping pictures, it kind of launched itself. So yeah, it kind of looked quite interesting, really, with the heron in the background.
Yeah, really nice shot that is.
That heron's got its eye on it.
Yeah,
photo bombed. And then we've got dusky.
Yeah, I mean, again, this isn't the dusky that was seen on the weekend, because I think that particular one, due to the weather, it wasn't really showing very well. This is actually the dusky that Max Martin found over at Frinton a couple of weeks ago, and this was showing quite nicely. But it's just, it's a lovely bird, quite distinctive in terms of its appearance. There's only really, I think, Rad's warbler that looks similar. And these are quite often picked up by their call. They've got a real sort of sharp tacking call, and they tend to be quite slow through the undergrowth and quite methodical the way they work their way through. But yeah, lovely birds.
Yeah,
Cracker.
Nice shot. That is really good. Quite envious of that. And then good old great white egret, presumably again at Abberton.
Yeah, that was at Abberton at the same time as the heron and the kingfisher in the same area. Yeah.
I love that shot with the black sort of dark background. Really nice.
Yeah.
So so great white egret. There were lots at Abberton, and I think there was a few others scattered around the county. I think Abberton recorded 37 great white egrets.
Amazing.
A week or so ago. Phenomenal. And then slightly changing the subject. I photographed one there this week, and it appears that it came from Lithuania.
Wow.
So yeah,
had a ring
on it. Yeah. So I'm just waiting to get some details. So watch this space for more information.
Oh, fantastic! Well done.
And then we, got to finish up with the best bird. This lovely medgull.
That's a beautiful picture.
At Mistley by Matt. So really lovely shot that is. Love the reflection.
Yeah.
So here's some of the pictures.
Brilliant.
To you guys.
Good. So thanks everybody for allowing us to use those, sending them to us. I'll put them out on social media. Great work. Great to see what people are seeing. So let's talk. Since Big County Birdwatch, what's been about, Matt, and what should we be looking forward to maybe in the weeks ahead?
Yeah, so I've just done a kind of a summary of things that have been seen since the weekend. So if I rattle through a few key sightings, Holland Haven has had quite a few good bits and pieces. So yellow-browed warbler. On the 9th of October, 15 wheatear were spotted flying through. Cattle egret. And the cattle egret is only the second ever record for Holland Haven. The first record was back in April 2007. So again, a really nice bird to see at the site. They've had twite, the dusky warbler I mentioned, purple sandpiper, great white egret, and Caspian gull. So it's been a good month for Holland. Down at the Hive, they've had an osprey. That was on the 6th of October. Ring ouzel, goose anders. and generally some sort of vismig, visible migration. So things like windchats, wheatears, fieldfare, redwing, those birds have all been passing through. The Stour, a similar situation. On the 11th of October, they had over 10,000 redwing were spotted working their way kind of along the Stour. They seem to be coming in at Felixstowe and then working their way through the Stour and dispersing into the county. An osprey again has been seen, presumably the same bird. It's been seen on and off throughout the month. I think it was seen just a few days ago still.
Wow.
There's been Slavonian grebe. The red-breasted mergansers are now on the Stour. So if anyone wants to see those, go to sort of Mistley Key or Radness, look across the river, and you should pick them up. Short-eared owl at Cataway, which is a nice bird for there. And there was a great grey shrike at Lawford on the 19th of October that was briefly seen and not seen again, but that's a cracking bird. And then a few bits and pieces, really. Snow bunting at Cudmore Grove. We've had hen harriers at Frinton, razorbills, tree sparrows at Colne Point, Pallas's warbler at the Naze, which was nice. That was seen on the 14th. I think Glenn Moore found that. Yep. And we've had ravens. I mean, there's been ravens at Canvey, ravens throughout the county, ravens at Abberton at the moment. There's a pair of ravens. They seem to be favouring the pylons, either north of the main causeway or the pylons near the Layer Breton. So they're obviously, I don't know if they're looking for somewhere to potentially nest next year. I don't know. Yep. That's worth keeping an eye on. Again, more yellow-browed warblers. A little auk was seen at Bradwell. Which was really nice. That was seen on the 16th of October by John Sotheby. And then we've got bittern. A bittern was found at Abberton on the 22nd of October. I think Andrew Wilson is the first person that's reported that. So I don't know whether he was the finder or not, but that's a really nice bird to see there. And then just generally towards the end of the month, long-tailed ducks turned up at Abberton. As Steve said, there was over 30 great white egret reported. I think it was 37, 38, wasn't it, on the day? Yeah. I had actually 25. I don't know if anyone is familiar with the Layer Breton Causeway, but if you look to the west of Layer Breton Causeway, there's an egret roost. And I was there one evening about a week, 10 days ago, and I had 25 that I counted in the roost that I could actually see at one time. So that's fantastic. And just general migration, really. Crossbills, red poles, stiskins, short-eared owls, merlins. There's been a few merlins spotted this month. So things coming in for the winter or moving through, and it's just exciting times, really. The wood pigeons as well. I think last month we spoke, or you mentioned, Steve, about the wood pigeon migration.
Yeah.
At the beginning of November, and I've noticed the last week or so, many wood pigeon, big clouds of them moving through.
Yeah.
It's just fun to see. Yeah, fantastic.
Yeah. Yeah, they started appearing here just before the storm we had the other weekend. And then just for a couple of days, it just started. And then the storm kind of basically nullified it. And then they've restarted again. Generally, down here from about 7 o'clock in the morning till 9:30, and then they'll disappear. But there was some really, I could see them distantly the other day I was down Coalhouse Ford, East Tilbury, looking back north. And I could see significant flocks still flying quite distantly through, but a definite movement. And then we've also seen waders certainly gathering again in numbers. The Dunnin are starting to increase. Great wader murmuration last night down on the Thames. And also, as I said, the gull roost. But murmurations are worth looking out for, this time of year, aren't they? Starlings in particular. I had a fantastic murmuration a few years ago at the Golden Gates Lake, or Henry Reach, as it's known, on the Thameside Nature Park. But they can pretty much turn up almost anywhere, really, can't they? Kind of, they're not kind of necessarily site faithful, certainly as I understand in Essex. Some of the other places in the country, they tend to gather. But if anybody, sees a decent starling murmuration, then please share it with the society and put the word out and let others enjoy it, obviously at social distance, but yeah.
Steve,
anything else, Matt?
Yeah, I was going to say, Steve G, where's the best place for starling murmurations in the county? Would it be sort of down South End way? Do they tend to get them down there, or?
I don't know, to be honest, Matt. I mean, historically, up on the Stour Estuary back in the 70s and 80s, they used to get something like 6 million
Wow.
roosting in the sort of the woods there.
Right.
But to be fair, I really don't know of any big roosts. Something I must try and find out about, really.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Anywhere where there's reed beds, I mean, maybe like Old Hall Marshes might be potentially okay.
Anyway, that could be a challenge for maybe next month if we do a catch up next month. If anyone watching, as Steve said, if anyone can maybe let us know or even take a picture of a Starling murmuration in Essex, that'd be fantastic.
That'd be really good.
Yeah.
Great.
They're common birds, but you know, we don't know a lot of where they roost. So yeah, your information is very valuable.
Yeah. And when we asked about red-legged partridges, we got some great responses, you know, around that. And you found the grey-legged partridge as well. And so, yeah, let us know, Starling murmurations or anything else of that nature you're seeing, please get back to us. We've given you the social media details before. We'd love to hear.
Yeah, please.
So, yeah, maybe anything else kind of in the month ahead that we ought to be little Hawks, Steve. Kind of, I've been looking at the weather. I'm not sure it's going to help us this year. It's been very southwest, hasn't it? And
yeah, we ideally need some northerly gales. I say ideally, not for the humans, but for the birds. Yeah, northerly gales push little hawks down the North Sea. And then, I say, Matt said there was one off Bradwell, you know, a couple of weeks ago. But yeah, I mean, certainly up until late November, I've seen little hawk in Essex in early December. Also, maybe, you know, we've still not really seen the winter thrushes coming in. Sort of dried up a little bit. I've not seen one here locally yet this autumn. And then fingers crossed, you know, maybe the odd waxwing. There's still a few common crossbills zipping around, and red poles.
siskins.
And siskins, yeah. So check your local woodlands, you know, local areas.
Yeah.
Listen for the calls as well. You know, if anyone out there is watching, and if you go on to, I think it's a website called Xeno Canto, XENO CANTO, and you can just type in a species and it comes up with hundreds of recordings of both flight calls and you know, songs and various bits and pieces. And it's really useful, just things like crossbill, siskin. If you familiarise yourself with what they sound like, and then when you're out and about, you can try and tune your ear to hear what's up there as well as what's down low. It's not the easiest thing in the world, and I'm still, you know, struggling to learn to do it. But when you hear something fly over, even if you can't locate it, it's a good, you know, good indication of what's out there.
Absolutely. Yeah. And that brings us on quite nicely, doesn't it, Steve? We've got some exciting news for our evening meetings.
Yeah, we have. Yeah, we have. Go ahead, Steve. You share the news. And
so I just need to
20th of November is the date, and on this channel, YouTube, we've managed to make it work tonight. It did take a little bit of a fiddle around, but we've done it.
We're going to have a meet on the 20th.
We think we've done it.
Yeah, exactly. I still got horribly wrong here.
If it's worked out, we will be on YouTube. Otherwise, we're going to revert back to our faithful friend Facebook. But 20th of November, Friday night, 2 weeks' time, we're going to have a virtual talk. I think we've said in previous of these programs that usually as a society, we have virtual indoor meetings up in Chelmsford. But we've been unable to do that, obviously, with COVID. So we're putting them online. And this is the first of what we hope will be some regular meetings, maybe even monthly. And David Darrell Lambert lives within the county and is a great birder. And he's going to be presenting this particular talk in 2 weeks' time. I'm trying to sleep. I'm talking about nocturnal migration, which is quite a new activity, isn't it?
Absolutely. Yeah.
Steve.
Yep.
And
10 years or so, maybe, not even that. Yeah, a lot of birders. So you can get some decent equipment at a relatively cheap, you know, not much cost. And you basically, you leave it on recording overnight. And then the next day you basically look at what you've recorded and identify what you've recorded. So yeah, it's becoming a very popular subject now.
and people are finding some really new kind of findings, really, aren't they? Kind of with birds that they've ortolan buntings, immense number of them flying over at night that nobody knew about. And then
common scoter is the other one.
Scoters going over land, yes. In Cambridge, there was a recording, wasn't there, a month or two back, a few months back?
I think back in lockdown #1, back in like March, April, there were quite a few Essex birders that do this, including David, that recorded common scoter flying over their gardens at night. Yeah, and there's all sorts of things, stone curlews, quail. Yeah, I mean, it's amazing what migrates at night. And I say this talk should give us the lowdown on how it works, really.
So does anyone know, I mean, do scoters get seen during the day overland? Because I don't ever recall seeing one during the daytime. So I wonder what makes a bird travel overland at night. Is it just the fact that they can't see the land and the sea? I don't know. It would be interesting to know, wouldn't it?
Interesting, isn't it?
Maybe safety, you know, peregrines and stuff around.
Or maybe they navigate by our light, by the towns and cities and lights that we produce.
Possibly, or particular land features.
I mean, obviously peregrines now can hunt through the night, can't they? That's a well-known fact, that they'll hunt at night time, you know, in well-lit places. So yeah, it's interesting.
Yeah.
And
sorry.
Yeah, I was just going to say, David recommends, if you're going to watch this talk, which I hope everyone will, that if you've got a pair of headphones, if you can use those, because you'll get the best results, because David will also play calls as well. So just to give you a better experience.
Excellent.
It's going to be great. It's going to be great. It's free of charge. As I say, if you have to watch it on YouTube live, and also we're going to kind of have opportunities for you to interact with us with questions and comments. And so, you know, kind of let people know, share the news. 20th of November, put it in your diary. I know kind of Autumn Watch will be over. Last one's tonight, isn't it? So it's going to be our kind of autumn migration watch and listen on that particular evening. So, don't miss that. Good. So, good. What else have we got to say? As I say, just a reminder, kind of, please let us know about anything that you'd like, again, maybe for a virtual talk or something else to be discussed in, you know, this kind of format that Steve and myself have been doing. Get back to us through the social media channels. But thanks again for everybody making BCBW, Big County Birdwatch, work this year, particularly in the challenging circumstances that we face with COVID. And as we've now we're all back in lockdown, you know, kind of still enjoy those local walks and, you know, wherever you get out to, but stay safe. We wish you all the best, and hope to catch up with you again soon, couple of weeks on here, and hopefully in December, maybe kind of out in the field, looking at some nice rare bird or something that's showing up in the county. So thanks, guys. Thanks, Steve. Matt, it's been good again to catch up, and we'll say goodbye to everybody. All the best.
Take care. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.